Hey everyone, so is that sports and leisure section of your big graduation exam making you a little nervous? Yeah, I get it, but don't you worry because I've totally got your back. In this explainer, we're going to break down everything, and I mean everything you need to know so you can walk into that exam feeling confident and ready to go. Let's jump right in.
So let's kick things off with a really big question. Why do we even care so much about sports and leisure? I mean, this isn't just about passing a test, right? It's really about understanding what it takes to live a good, balanced life. We're going to look at this from all sides.
All right, so here's our game plan for tackling this topic. First, we'll dive into why sports are so crucial. Then, we'll get your vocabulary sorted with different sports categories. After that, we'll figure out what really makes an athlete great. Then we'll take a little trip back in time to see how leisure has changed. And we'll finish up with some solid tips on how to talk about your own hobbies. Sound good? Let's do it. Okay, first up. A really smart way to start any exam answer is to explain the why behind it all. So before we list a bunch of facts, let's get into why sports are so incredibly important for us. It really breaks down into three main things. First, the one we all know, physical health. It keeps you fit, strengthens your muscles, and helps fight off diseases. But then there's your mental health. Sports are just an amazing way to clear your head and get rid of stress. And finally, there's the social part. Playing on a team teaches you how to work together, how to follow rules, and maybe most importantly, how to win and lose with grace.
And hey, here's a fantastic little phrase you can use in your exam. It sounds supernatural. You could say something like, for me, I really try to stay active because I just think moving your body is so much better than sitting at a computer all day. See? Simple and effective.
All right, time to build up that vocabulary. A fantastic way to show that you really know your stuff is to organize sports into different groups. It's a simple trick, but it makes your answer sound so much more structured and thoughtful.
So let's take a look. You've got your team sports, like football and basketball, where you work together. Then you have individual sports, where it's all on you, think tennis or swimming. Of course, when it gets cold, we have winter sports like skiing and snowboarding. If you love nature, there are outdoor sports like hiking and cycling. And for all you thrill seekers out there, you've got extreme sports like skydiving. Pretty easy to remember, right?
So, what's the difference between someone who's just good at a sport and someone who is truly great? Is it just natural talent? Well, as we're about to find out, there's a whole lot more to the story.
So what's the secret sauce for a perfect athlete? Well, you start with talent, of course, but then you have to add in some serious discipline, a true sense of fair play, and a will that just won't quit. When you mix all that together, that's when an athlete becomes a real role model. Just think about a legend like Jaromir Jagr. I mean, what makes him so incredible isn't just his skill. It's that insane work ethic and dedication. The guy is still playing professional hockey in his 50s. That is the absolute definition of discipline. And then you have someone like Esther Ledecka, who is just on another level. Can you even imagine being a world champion in two completely different sports? Her winning in both skiing and snowboarding is just wow. It's just an unbelievable display of versatility and hard work.
Okay, we've talked a lot about sports. Now let's zoom out and look at leisure time in general. And honestly, one of the most interesting things to talk about is how much technology has totally changed how we spend our free time.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. Think about your parents or grandparents. Their free time was probably spent outside, playing games, talking to friends face to face. For us, it's a completely different world. So much of our leisure is online. We're gaming, binge-watching shows, scrolling through social media. It's such a massive change that this idea of a digital detox is now a real thing. So what does all this mean for us? Well, it's this weird paradox, isn't it? We can have a friend on the other side of the planet, but sometimes we don't even know our own neighbors. We're more connected to the whole world than ever, but sometimes we can feel a little more alone in our own communities. Okay, this is the part where it gets personal. Your examiners are definitely going to ask you about your hobbies. So let's work on an answer that's going to make you shine. I'll give you a simple structure you can adapt for yourself. Here's a great strategy. Talk about a few different types of hobbies. It just shows you're a well-rounded person with varied interests. So for our examples, let's use a team sport, a mental sport, and an individual physical activity.
Okay, first, a team sport like football. This is a great one to talk about because you can mention cooperation, building that amazing team spirit, and of course, how it keeps you in shape. And don't forget that awesome adrenaline rush you get during a game.
Now for something totally different. A mental sport like chess. I love this example because it shows that sport can be about brain power too. You can talk about how it's like gymnastics for the brain, how it teaches you patience and strategy. It's a great way to both relax and seriously challenge yourself. And finally, let's talk about an individual sport, like weightlifting or just going to the gym. The great thing here is that it's all about your own progress and your own goals. It builds incredible discipline and strength, helps your posture, and honestly, it's one of the best ways to de-stress after a tough day.
Whew, we've covered a ton of stuff. So before we wrap up, let's quickly go over the most important things to remember. This is your final cheat sheet for the exam.
All right, here are the key takeaways. Number 1, sports are amazing for your body, your mind, and your social life. 2, knowing how to categorize sports makes you sound like you really know what you're talking about. 3, remember, a true champion is about discipline and being a role model, not just talent. 4, be ready to discuss how our free time has gone digital. And last but not least, have your own personal hobby examples ready to share. You're going to do great. So, I'm going to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Out of all the things you love to do, which hobby do you think really truly shows who you are as a person? If you can answer that with confidence and passion, you are more than ready for this exam. Now go out there and show them what you've got. You can do this.